relationship.
Yes.
So I think it's transcendent.
Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate. So this has honestly been such an insightful and inspiring conversation with Eposa. We've talked about software development, cybersecurity, innovation, growth, and the future of technology. And it's clear that technology is not only about system and devices, but also about people creating solution and making impact. A huge thank you to our amazing guest, Efosa. Thank you for joining us today on Creative Pause on S24 television. And to our listeners, remember, the future belongs to those willing to learn, adapt, innovate, and create fearlessly. See you next time.
In the car, where music flows through everyday life, a new rhythm is imagined. One that carries modern melody. It carries resistance, identity, and change. In a space long dominated by men, a group of women is stepping forward, redefining who gets to perform and who gets to be heard. Inside the recording studio, sound comes alive. Drums, keyboard, bass guitars, and voices blending into rhythm. This is Orchestra Jigini, an all-women band rewriting the rules of music in Senegal.
The idea of actually starting an orchestra was a dream. My older sister, Kokading, and I went to the office. So he brought up that idea. Without thinking, I told him, why not? I told him yes. Then there was Aisha Tuding, the older sister, who was there, who played the drums and everything. After Aisha, one by one, Evra came along, and then there was Rima Diop. There were so many women.
What began as a dream quickly became a shared vision, bringing together women musicians once scattered across the country. Drummers, singers, instrumentalists uniting to create something entirely new.
It was my father who called me. He's my mentor. His name is Papis Ndiaye. He called me at the studio to tell me he wanted to bring me into a women's group called I Found Out About Them Through My Dad. That's how I joined the band.
For some, the journey into the band was unexpected. But what started as a simple connection soon became a professional part and a purpose. Each musician brings our own influence, blending global inspiration with Senegalese tradition. But behind the music is discipline, training, and resilience.
C'est pas facile d'être une femme.
It's not easy being a woman and an artist to boot, especially in our field because there are so many trends. There's a lot of, how should I put it, gossip. Well, there are also people who throw you off balance sometimes, and because for me, that's part of the job. Because it's like diplomats or other people who work in other fields, civil servants and all that, who get up early in the morning to go to the office and all that.
In a society shaped by strong expectations, being a female musician is not without challenges. For these women, every performance is more than art. It is resistance. But the orchestra is doing more than making music. It is reshaping perception, challenging what women are expected to do and who they are allowed to become.
En fait, c'est notre première difficulté.
In fact, that's our main challenge. Aside from that, when it comes to the international trip, we are taking and have already taken. We are facing financial difficulties. So it's complicated for us. Flying is complicated and getting around is complicated. There were a lot of complications, but we managed to get there by plane because we had to write a letter to the new minister. It wasn't easy at all.
Et c'était pas évident du tout.
Behind the rhythm lies struggles, financial limitations, travel challenges, and limited resources. Even with growing recognition, the journey remains demanding.
What motivated me to write this book was, first and foremost, to introduce the general public to the remarkable work accomplished by the orchestra and the producer, and above all, to serve as a role model for other young women. It's just a profession. Since I'm with them practically all the time, I find them to be very well-mannered, very polite, and very positive people. There is no problem between them. People often say that things between women can be a bit complicated, but here, it's like a family. You might not have realized it, but it's a joy to be here.
These women's story is now being documented, capturing not just their music, but their impacts. Within the orchestra, there is no competition, only community.
Alors, nous avons la chance quand même, au niveau du Sénégal.
We are fortunate in Senegal to have an orchestra made up of almost entirely of women who represent Senegal in the international stage. It is still important. The outlook for 2026, which by the way have been announced since 2025, includes a series of initiatives planned for France.
De prestations qui sont prévues au niveau de la France.
Founded by Samba Diaté, the group has become a symbol of possibility, presenting Senegal on international stages, turning local rhythm into global recognition. From studio sessions in Dakar to stages beyond Senegal, Orchestra Jigini is more than a band. It is proof that barriers are not broken by permission, but by performance. And in every bit, one message echoes clearly: women belong here too.
You wake up one morning in Abuja, and your favorite loaf of bread is now 1,500 naira. Yesterday, it was 500 naira. Next week, it will be 2,000 naira. You have the same money in your wallet, but somehow you can't afford to buy much with it. This is inflation. Inflation happens when prices rise and money loses its value. Despite theoretical estimates that the Nigerian economy is improving, food prices remain high while many Nigerians earn less.
I did sales girl work for somebody. I run someone's shop and I earned only 35,000 naira in a month. And I paid 800 naira for transport every day. And I feed like 1,000 a day. Let me say I spend like 2,018 in a day. And I earn 35,000 naira at the salary. And I pay house rent. I pay NEPA bill. I buy food at home. I do a lot of things. So the salary is not enough for me because things are too expensive. Everything's are hard.
The power of money lies in its purchasing power. What goods can you buy with your money? What can you buy with 50 naira today? Pure water? In the past, you could buy one egg for 50 naira. Now, it's 200 naira. When your naira can buy less food, less fuel, and less of everything, it loses its value. So how did Nigeria get here? Prices have been rising at over 30% annually. There's an estimated 30.6 million Nigerians at risk of food insecurity. Why is this happening? Nigeria's major source of income is oil. When the country sells oil to the world, it earns dollars. But when oil prices drop, Nigeria earns less money. Inflation is a redistribution of power. With the removal of fuel subsidy in 2023, the cost of fuel rose by more than 200%.
Saboda ƙarin kuɗin mai ya jawo abubuwa masu yawa waɗanda suka danne mu matasa misali. Na ɗaya, lokacin da muna shan mai, mu cika tankin kekenmu naira 1,200, za mu ɗauki al'umma naira 50 zuwa ewaye. Yanzu a ƙaramin tanki na keke napep, in takaice magana zai kamar naira 8,000. Sana za ka zo kana ɗaukar mutane naira 300 zuwa ewaye. A 300 ma wanda zai zo ya ce ka taimaka mashi a 200 a cikin mutum 100 mutum 90 zai ce taimaka mana 200 gare ni. So mu kuma ba za mu iya cewa ba za mu taimaka ba. Muna ɗauka idan muka kai mutum ya ba mu 200 ƙarshe idan muka zo muka lissafa za mu zauna za ka cire kuɗin balas, za ka cire kuɗin da za ka keke ka service, da yaushe ka ajiye 'yan kuɗin da za ka sha ruwa da su ba zuwa gobe.
From the farms to the markets, transportation now costs more because of fuel prices. This in turn affects the price of everything. The market woman who bought a basket of tomatoes for 5,000 naira was now charge you more just to survive.
Mun kasuwa ina inda muke siya? A'a mun inda muka je siya duk abin da aka sa farashi shine za mu siya ba wai ko abu ɗaya bane ba. In muka siya da tsada za mu sayar da tsada, in muka siya da sauki za mu sayar da sauki. Duk mai sayan kaya haka ya sani. Don saboda yanzu yau na iya zuwa na je da sai kaya 10,000. In jiya na siya 15 sai in wanda ya zo sayan kaya na zan iya ƙara masa hannu akan na jiya. Kuma yau idan na je na sayi tsada yayi tsada in na zo zan iya ragewa, haka nake sana'a ta ni ba wai.
But the bitter truth is, inflation hurts the poorest most. If you're wealthy, your money sits in assets, land, stocks, and maybe even foreign currencies. So if you're living naira to naira, watching prices double while your salary stays flat, you're getting poorer every single day without spending a kobo. In reality, inflation is a measure of whose labor, whose time, whose life is being slowly devalued. When one business raises its prices, it leads to other businesses raising their prices too. And so the endless cycle of inflation continues.
Inside Abidjan's roaring Olympic Olympic Stadium, where football fans dance, chant, and wave blue noisemakers, sports photographer Beatrice Nicole Quadio stand focused behind her camera. While supporters follow the march, her lens captures the emotion, culture, and energy surrounding African football. For Beatrice, photography is more than documenting sports. She believes Africans must tell their own stories and preserve their cultural identity through images created from their own perspective.
We have the chance to practice a profession that is a storytelling tool that allows us as Africans to tell the human story of sports and African football. It is important that we do it ourselves. Why? Because it is our history, our heritage, our legacy, and our culture. It is our footprint.
Away from the stadium, Beatrice is focused on another mission, mentoring the next generation of photographers in Côte d'Ivoire. Through workshops in Abidjan, she trains young people in camera techniques, storytelling, and professional photography skills. Beatrice describes teaching as a way of preserving the profession and ensuring local photographers continue shaping how African stories are told.
Training young people means passing on knowledge. It means building a legacy. And if today young people are taking more interest in our field, it gives them the opportunity to sustain our profession and ensure that we are not forgotten. Because without this transmission, young people will not be impacted. They will not have the access to information about what we do, and they will not know whether it is a real profession or a field with significant reach and value.
For photography student Arlette Mozu, the mentorship has transformed both her confidence and technical ability behind the camera.
Before, my photos were blurry, not sharp. But now, I am able to properly adjust my camera and take good photos.
In a field traditionally dominated by men, Beatrice's growing influence is helping create more space for women behind the lens. Veteran photographer Sebu Traore says women bring a unique perspective to the industry.
Les femmes ont une touche qu'elles peuvent apporter à la photographie, leur touche de féminité.
Women bring a special touch to photography, and that their unique perspective can make the profession even better.
D'authentique pour elles, et c'est ce qui va aiguiser leur regard.
For Beatrice, empowering women through photography is also about creating financial independence and opportunity. She believes every woman trained represents another pathway away from unemployment and towards self-reliance.
For me, it's truly a real mission because I am convinced that if we manage to impact one more woman, we take a woman out of unemployment, we make her independent, and we give her the opportunity to discover our field, which can be a profession of the future for her and can also give her the chance to secure a job so that she can be financially independent and, for example, take care of herself, her family, and also support her partner.
As the city of Abidjan moves beneath the evening light, Beatrice continues balancing two roles, documenting African football history while inspiring the next generation of storytellers to step confidently behind the camera.
This land, the ancient Sahel, once moved to the rhythm of famine seasons and grazing herds. But for more than a decade, fear settled into the soil. From the forest came bandits, villages emptied, crops withered, and buildings fell silent. Across Katsina and Niger's northwest, every journey became a prayer for survival. Today, S24 television returns to this land not just to remember the violence, but to ask a more complex question. When the guns fall silent, can life truly return?
I suffered a lot before the time of this peaceful agreement. They took me for 5 days. After my wife, I paid them 100,000. Third one, they took my son, brother. I paid them 50,000. Then they meet me at farm. They took me with was hard punishment. They beat me and they asked me to pay them before they release me. I met one of them, seeing him, identifying him. I didn't talk to him, but I really recognize him. By the time I see him, I feel fever by that time for 6 hours, trying to recall what happened last time.
An ɗauke ni kan hanya, an ɗauke mu 14, an ɗauke mu kan hanya, mu biyar a daji. Allah ya fito mu. Direban kawai ne biya naira 200 sadda aka canja kuɗin nan kuɗi na waya mu cewa suka yi sun yahe mana.
They took cattle, dignity, and peace. Some fathers returned broken, while others never returned.
Don ke yankin nan da babu shi.
Lokutan baya, akwai mazajen dawa suke kwana.
Schools closed, farms were abandoned, and the forest learned the sound of gunfire. Between 2015 and 2021, violence linked to banditry killed over 1,000 people in Katsina State alone, displaced tens of thousands, and forced entire villages, more than 50, to empty out. On April 18, 2020, coordinated attacks across Katsina communities killed dozens in a single night. By early 2021, it was clear no village was too small, no border too remote. This violence was not random. It grew from long-standing fractures. As far back as the late 1980s, tensions over land and water simmered between farmers and herders. But remote communities were neglected. Roads were unbuilt. Schools were understaffed, and clinics were abandoned. Young people grew up with little access to education or work. Then weapons arrived. flowing in from regional conflicts across porous borders. Cattle rustling evolved into kidnapping. Opportunists became organized and groups. Conflict trackers estimate that over 13,000 people were killed by banditry across Nigeria's northwest between 2010 and 2023. Poverty, governance gaps, environmental pressure, and small arms. This was the poison that spread through the Sahel. But even in the darkest years, something shifted. Communities chose dialogue over disappearance. Elders, imams, women, and youth began talking, first among themselves, then with those who once terrorized them.
A wannan zama ya yi tasiri 100%. Shi kuma wannan zama gaskiyar magana muna buƙata a ce duk jihohin ƙasar nan ko ina a samu da irin shi.
Duk abun da ka gani idan ba a han teburin sulhu to ba zai kai ƙarshe ba. Sannan duk abun da ka ga an ce ba a tattauna ka juna to dama matsala ba ta ƙare ba.
Even within your family, sometimes you do get something that may not go down well with the other in the same house, the same family. So that's what it's and it's normal to human community. It's normal to human beings. Just as peace scholars are saying, conflict is necessary, conflict is unavoidable, but can also generate chance for development as well as progress. So people have understood that being in peace is better than whatever people will continue to do otherwise.
In Katsina, the state government supported community-led security and peace efforts, training thousands of local volunteers, backing dialogue initiatives, and combining forces with negotiation.
The idea of community watch corps was actually the idea of His Excellency the Governor. So before the coming of the administration in 2023, 25 local governments were under siege. You can have attack in even as far as in Gawa. We had so many attacks in Bindawa, attacks in Katsina local government, attacks in Keita and the rest. But with this idea of creating community watch corps and robust relationship with other security agencies, that is to say the conventional security agencies, the army, the police, the DSS, the civil defense, you see, were able to bring down the number of local governments being attacked by bandits, about 16 local governments from the shackles of the bandit within the first 10 months.
You see, this is a local problem that needs a local solution. And I think by introducing this sea watch has bring the much desired need and for this purpose, because they are the people from with the same community, and they can identify those that are informants. Those are the ones we call informants, because we mingle with them, we move with them, we sleep with them, we go anywhere with them, and unfortunately, they are the ones selling us.
Skepticism was over the roof and fear lingered, but slowly, roads reopened, farms were revisited, and nightfall no longer meant flights.
Wannan matsalar tana cikin gida ce, ba wasu ne baki muke samu ba. Dan cikin gida ne su suke zuwa suke wannan abu. To mai girma gwamnati ya tunani ya kirkire mu domin mu ne muka san mutanen nan. Kullum ina gaya musu cewa wannan aiki kanmu ne muke yi ma, domin al'ummanmu ne, iyayenmu ne, danginmu ne, matanmu ne. Idan muka yi kwanci ba mu fita ba, to su mutanen nan za su zo duka su yi kan mai uwa da wabi. Ƙarshe abin zai wuto al'umma har ya zo gare mu. Saboda haka kullum ina ƙarfafa musu gwiwa cewa wannan aikin ya zama wajibi mu sa shi a ranmu cewa al'umma muke yi ma.
In Batsari local government area villages like Biakakwana, Gobarawa, and Ruma, names once linked to terror, life is returning in fragments. Bread is baked, fields are tilled, children walk to school, markets murmur, and families sleep through the night.
Muka mun gode ma Allah, yanayin tsaro yayi kyau, kuma in dai haka za a dole to alhamdulillah muna jin daɗin haka, har ma fiye da haka. Saboda dukkan wanda zai tafi ma to muna kokari ya dawo gida.
Tsaro yanzu kan mun gode wa Allah, tsaro ya samu, muna samun kwanciya cikin gidajenmu, mu kwantar da hankalinmu. ‘Ya'yanmu su je su walwalansu yadda suke so, za mu fita har cikin dare mu je mu yawon mu samu abubuwan da muke so mu samu, mu dawo mu zama mu cikin gida ba wani takura, amma kwanakan baya kan ba mu isa mu je mu ce mun fita bakin gari ba, ko kuma a'a muna cikin gari zaune. Idan dai har kana cikin gari zaune to zaka fita da gudu ne, amma yanzu kan zaka iya zama tun daga karfe 7 na marece, zaka iya kai karfe 7 na safe ba wani wanda zai zo ya haska ka da fitila ya ce ya zo ya tada ma hankali.
A yanzu mun samu kwanciyar hankali kwarai da gaske. Allah ya ƙara ci gaba a zaman mu na yanzu. Komi ya ƙara tahiya normal kamar yadda muke yanzu. Yanzu ko ina kake he ka kwanta hankalinka kwance na kawai mu samu natsuwa gidajenmu ba.
A yanayin tsaro alhamdulillahi gaskiya yanayin tsaro kam an samu tsaro kan domin Allah. Daga lokacin da aka yi wanga zama dai ba mu sake ganin wani abun da ko muka rena mawa ba, ko kuma su ma ina tunanin dai daga bangaren su babu, tun da akwai shi da an ji korafe-korafe.
To alhamdulillah gaskiya gobira mun samu rangwame mun samu sawaba tunda da ba mu da ikon shigowa yanzu kawai ga mu cikin garin gobira muna zanne lahiya.
Tunda Allah ya sa an samu lokacin nan yanzu alhamdulillah.
This is not propaganda. This is what peace looks like on the ground. Fragile, uneven, but real. But again, this is not a miracle ending. Many villages still lack clean water. Some families walk more than a kilometer daily to fetch water. Schools remain roofless. Clinics are empty shells, and some families are left in ruins.
Dakunan mu duk sun rurrushe ga wannan ruwan da aka yi. He jari kuma na mata da tallafin marayu.
Ina kira ga gwamnatin nan dan Allah dan Annabi a taimaka mu ba mu da sabis. Kwatoci da sauransu nan cikin garin Ruma muna bukata gwamnati ta taimaka mu.
Abin da muke fata kenan a gyara matasa mai aiki a dauke shi aiki wanda bai aiki a bashi jari yake sana'a wannan banga siyasa a batta bai da wani amfani gare mu.
Muna son a ɗan dafa mana taki haka. Tunda dai noman sun bari sun ce ko ina mutum za je noman shi je yi. Kin ga mun samu ci gaba a nan. Ba shanu ba awaki da dabbobi a taimaka mana su. Ko da bashi na ka ba mu lokaci gashi za a bada hakin ga alhamdulillah.
Muna bukata masallacin mu ya ƙara ɗaukakuwa kuma muna bukatar zaman lahiya da a taimaka ma mazajen mu da yaran mu. Mu samu ci gaba a cikin garin gobira.
Tsakani ga Allah rayuwar mu sai a hankali, saboda tsakani ga Allah ba mu da mazanne gidaje saboda su sun rushe.
Amma idan gwamnatin nan za ta kula da mu, to babban bukatar mu shine cewa hanya, asibitoci, kiwon lafiya a inganta su.
Yanzu dai muna da bukatar gwamnati ta taimaka mu da gyaran hanyar mu daga nan har zuwa Jibiya, kuma a taimaka mu da shanu waɗanda za mu samu mu rika huda da yangal muna haka waɗanda za mu rika amfani da su gonakanmu tunda sun sha mu lahiya sun ce mu je mu yi noman nan muna ta yi da su jama'a masu je su yi masa kwadago wasa biya su an yi amfanin nan kowa ɗauko amfanin shi ya kawo gida wake ne bai ida kaiwa ba sun turo shanu an fara ci kuma aka yi masa magana aka tsaye da shanun nan aka maida su.
Bangarorin hanyoyin nan a gyara mu da ruwan sha da dam da sauran burtulla duk waɗanda makiyaya ke bi suna zuwa yawon kiwo. A yi ƙoƙari a fitar da su saboda suna ɗaya daga cikin abin da ya fara har dasa matsalolin da aka shiga dama.
Muna amfani ne da farm action. In so samu ne muna so a bamu manyan bindigu irin su AK-47, 49 wanda da su ne insha Allah za mu iya tunkara da inda muke so. Muna da motoci da mashina. So amma yau da gobe tun da kusan shekarar mu biyu yanzu. To mashinan sun ɗan yi tsufa yanzu. Inda so samu ne muna buƙata a ƙaro mana wasu. Da ita kanta mota muna bukata. Muna bukatan a ƙara kula da walwalanmu.
To ci gaban da nake so in gani a yankin nan namu ya kasance ko da wani wuri aka je sai dai a yi koyi da nan ba dai nan ya koyi da wani wuri ba.
For peace to endure, security must be followed by development. Livelihood grants, roads, schools, healthcare, safe grazing routes, and revived agriculture. And for former fighters, justice, reintegration, and accountability matters. Without this, peace risks becoming as brittle as the dust beneath our feet. When the forest sleeps, the land remembers. Katsina is not cured, but it is waking, not with gunfire, but with footsteps, not with fear, but with cautious optimism. This story matters because every farm reclaimed, every school reopened, every child who sleeps safely at night is a quiet rebellion against despair. S24 television was on the spot. We listened, and this is what the ground told us.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Spotlight on right here on S24 television, where we sit with minds and makers shaping the future of our society. Today, we are shining the light on something Nigerians argue about every planting season, yet many still don't fully understand: fertilizer. It sounds simple. Apply fertilizer, get more yield. But in reality, it's a chain: soil health, correct blend, timing, water, seed quality, extension support, price stability, and even trust. Because when fertilizer fails, it's not just a farm problem, it becomes a national problem. It shows up in the market price as high prices and reduced food access, and a country struggling to feed itself at scale. Our guest today sits right at the intersection of science, policy, and the farmer's reality. Dr. Abubakar Sani Abdullahi, welcome to Spotlight On. Again, it's good to see you again, because we spoke to you on food security not long ago. And let's get into this very important topic, fertilizer. Because as I mentioned, it sounds simple, but when you go deep, you understand that there is more to what fertilizer actually do to our food security. So let's start from basics. In plain language, what is fertilizer meant to do, and what can it never fix?
So, for a layman understanding, whenever we are talking about the word fertilizer, it simply means a chemical substance. It's a chemical substance that is added to the soil, or that is applied to the soil in order to provide nutrients to the soil. So fertilizer provide nutrients. The nutrient supports plant growth. So you must apply fertilizer before you get what you are expected, or before you get what we call optimum yield. So for a layman understanding, fertilizer is just a chemical substance that is added to the soil in order to provide nutrients to support plant growth.
Oh,
So,
because when you say chemical,
yeah.
I know the first thing that comes to my mind is
Yeah.
chemical.
Yeah.
Is chemical good for me or not? So maybe to use another word so a layman would understand, if you say it's a nutritional component of the soil.
It's a substance or a component that is being added to give nutrients to the soil.
Yes, thank you. So what can fertilizer not fix in the farming sector?
You know, as we made mention earlier, let me just take you
back
a little bit back. At the default of the government, we have a sound system that is working to support farmers. This system is what we call the extension agents.
Or extension workers.
Extension workers.
Yeah.
They are being trained purposely to give a right guide to the farmers in order to achieve what we call a maximum yield. So the target aim that each and every farmer is required to is to have a sound productivity or an optimum yield. So later on, extension workers are becoming defunct or extinct per se. Then we started abusing
fertilizer
application because you have to get the right dose. Then you have to target the timing, that is application on the right time. Then which fertilizer is meant for which crop. You have to know, you have to have this,
the types.
The types. Then we have different forms of fertilizer. Some are highly acidic. We are abusing the system per se, especially this critical moment. There are raw materials that are being applied directly into the soil in the name of fertilizer, of which they are meant to serve as a component in blending or in mixing fertilizer. So that was why some soils or some farmlands become highly acidic, to the extent that they cannot even support plant growth. Yeah. So basically, before a farmer can even get into application of fertilizer, he has to have the knowledge of, am I planting maize? Which is the best fertilizer
For maize.
for maize? How many applications
Do I
am
need to do?
expected or do I need to do on that maize? Let me just take you for instance. We have what we call the NPK fertilizers. It is a combination or composition of nitrogen, that is the N. Then the P is phosphorus, that is the P. And the K is what we call the potassium. So these are three elements, as I made mention earlier. Chemicals.
NPK.
Yeah, NPK. So NPK has different formulation. That was why you will see NPK 20-10-10, NPK 15-15-15, NPK 27-13-13. Before you get into the application, you need to have that basic knowledge. Which fertilizer suit a particular crop? How many applications am I expected to do? Yes. For instance, we have leguminous crops. Cowpea or beans, soya bean. They are rich, they have a natural inbuilt of nitrogen, that is N.
So you don't need NPK.
Fix nitrogen directly. So when you apply N fertilizers, a fertilizer that is very rich in nitrogen, a farmer might end up having just mere leafy vegetables instead of grain crops because you did not follow the right track. So a farmer has to have the basic knowledge of which form of fertilizer suit a particular crop. Some are highly acidic, some pretend to be neutral, and some are lying in nature.
They pretend to be neutral.
They pretend to be neutral.
But they are not neutral.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that was why I started with the role of extension agents. For instance, you are a maize farmer. Before you venture into maize farming, what is expected of you under production packages for maize is to have what we call soil analysis.
Yes.
You get into the farmland, make a soil collection of that particular farmland that you want to start farming. And before you even go into the soil collection, you need to have a guide by the extension agent or a soil scientist on how to go about the soil collection. Because you cannot collect soil from this point, go to another point, or you just collect one soil sample from a single point in the farmland and expect that you collect what will represent
all
the
the
entire
farmland.
sample of the farmland. So you have to have a basic knowledge. Once you made the soil collection, the next step, the soil analysis will be carried out. After soil analysis, you get the result. That result of the soil analysis that was carried out will serve as a guide. Maybe at the initial stage you have the intention of planting maize. Maybe that soil will not support maize production.
Planting.
So they can guide you accordingly. Maybe it suits better for sorghum. Then if you go for sorghum instead of the maize, what are the key elements required by sorghum crop to do a better yield? So first application, what do I need? Am I applying 20-10-10? Or am I applying 15-15? That is 15-15. Or am I applying only
13.
The 27-30-30? Then what is the needed dose demanded or being needed by each and every standing plant in the field? So we are abusing the system, as I said. For instance, I'm going into maize farming. After having all this background information, executing soil analysis, then I will determine plant per stand, the seed quality. I have to get a quality seed, start sowing. After 2 weeks, what I needed on my plant is NPK. That is the nitrogen-based fertilizer, maybe NPK 20-10-10. At 6 weeks after planting, that is second application, I will go for first dose application of my urea. Then when the crop started tasseling or is in tasseling stage, I go for my last application of urea. But sincerely speaking, most of our farmers in Nigeria lack this basic knowledge. That was why agricultural activities is one of the key activity that normally contributes or is contributing to climate change and this issue of what? Global warming. Misuse of fertilizers, especially the acidic fertilizers.
Okay, many farmers say fertilizer no longer works like before. What are the real reasons?
I most appreciate the previous government of late President Muhammad Buhari. We have what we call the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative, PFI. Then, what the government did was to identify key blending plants, fertilizer blending plants in Nigeria. For instance, in Kaduna, are we having any fertilizer blending plant that was not functioning? In Katsina, how many fertilizer plants do we have owned by the state government or by the federal government or by an individual entity? After collecting this data, the next line of action was to put them in order. The government tried to finance fixing of such fertilizer blending plants. Then we stopped what we call the importation of nitrogen-based fertilizers. The government moved down to Morocco to sign an MOU on the importation of raw materials. They moved down to Senegal, sign another MOU for importation of another raw material. Because for you to form what we call NPK fertilizers, you need DAP, diammonium phosphate, very rich in Morocco and Russia. You need MOP, monosodium phosphate, is a raw material that is very rich and available in Senegal. So Hausa people used to call for a better understanding of the Hausa farmers. The MOP, it's reddish in color. They normally call it as a normal kanwa in Hausa.
Okay,
Yeah,
potash.
potash is the normal potash. Then for the DAP, diammonium phosphate, is looks more of ash, toka, that after cooking, the remnants on the firewood. So these two countries had an MOU agreement with Nigerian government. So federal government through the Central Bank of Nigeria financed the importation of this raw material at a subsidized
price
rate. So after the importation, already the government has the data for all existing fertilizer blending plants across the country. Then they transport the
raw materials.
Then production kick-started. At the commencement of the program, the government pegged a fixed price of 5,500 naira farmer price
each bag
on each bag of fertilizer. Then the number of farmers that came to partake in farming was never recorded before since independence. The civil servants developed interest in farming. The real farmers developed interest in farming. So the system was working accordingly.
So what changed?
So some people developed interest. They found it as one of the most easiest way of making money. When you venture into the importation of raw materials, fertilizer, blending raw material, you will make money more than who is there in the oil sector. So they took away the program from the hand of the government. People in the system who happens to be in the government advertise what it takes to the open market.
Wow.
And so many people started abusing the system. The government will release funds for the importation of raw materials, but at the tail end in the port, the raw material will never reach into the blending plants. It will be sold out or diverted to a different
Between when and when was
country.
this?
It happens at the first regime of Muhammadu Buhari.
When did he stop?
I think immediately after Corona, because I know late Abba Kyari, his chief of staff, was mandated to oversee
the project.
Yeah.
That's really
And,
sad.
Nigerian farmers, if you take what Jonathan did in his era under agricultural transformation agenda, there was this program whereby a farmer will just provide his contact number in his wallet. Then, for instance, this is a village under a social local government area. Truckloads of fertilizers will be taken. Then farmers will start receiving text message, come and get your package. The package is 3 bags of NPK, 2 bags of urea, 1 pack of agrochemical, then 1 engine water pump for those that are into dry season farming, then some package of seeds. So if the total cost of the package is 100,000 naira, the government has imposed or has fixed subsidy attached to it. The farmer is just coming to the redemption center with 50,000 naira.
Wow.
He took it at a cheaper rate. So I think after that program, there was never a program that Nigerian farmers have access
to
affordable fertilizer than this
late President Muhammadu
fertilizer
initiative. This is sad.
But the system failed completely. Now people from different parts of the country took over the blending plants. In fact, government blending blending plants, especially state-owned, are no longer functioning.
They are defunct.
They are defunct.
And nobody is doing anything about it. We'll get back to that. That's policies. Before we go on a quick break, break this down. What's the difference between NPK blend, urea, organic manure, and when each one actually makes sense?
Yeah. So first of all, let's start with what we call urea. Urea is obtained from natural gas. Nigeria is very rich in natural gas.
Yeah.
Urea, it's a form of fertilizer that has a higher content of nitrogen in it, which is 46%. So nitrogen content in urea is 46%. That was why it is advisable to farmers to apply it when the plants started growing. Number one, it tastes acidic or salty in nature. Number two, it kills plant when applied in wrong dose. It's just like a baby that was just born this morning. You cannot just start giving him Cerelac or rice or sebo. You have to start breastfeeding him. So likewise, a crop. First application, you apply NPK. Second, third application, at some weeks after its germination, you apply urea. So urea is a form of nitrogen-based fertilizer that has 46% of nitrogen. And as I made mention earlier, Nigeria is very rich in
gas.
So we have 3 major companies at present that are producing nitrogen-based fertilizers in Nigeria. We have number one, Indorama, with daily production capacity of 244 trucks, followed by Dangote, that is also producing Dangote urea with nitrogen content of 46% with a daily production capacity of almost 150,000
trucks.
To your greatest surprise, Nigerian urea is the best urea globally.
Is that tested?
British, Brazil, Canada, United States of America are buying urea from us. Even
That's
at present,
interesting.
when this crisis is there, I know million tons of urea from different countries is being demanded here in Nigeria.
Thank
Then
you.
Coming to NPK. NPK is a formulation of three
Components. You've mentioned it.
The N is the nitrogen. The P is phosphorus.
And the K?
The K is potassium. So you bring in the nitrogen, you bring in the imported phosphorus, you bring in the imported potassium, then you blend it. So you can manipulate your figures according to the plant need and requirement. You can blend NPK 20-10-10, you can blend NPK 27-13-13, you can blend NPK 15-15. Then the manure fertilizer that you made mention is an organic fertilizer
that comes
obtained from compost of animal dung, whether cow, chicken,
goats,
sheep, and goats. So it is also highly rich in N, like that of chicken is highly rich in, is highly acidic. It serves as a form of urea to the plant.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abubakar Sani Abdullahi. Let's take a quick break. When we return, the conversation continues. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's still Spotlight on S24 television, where we've been talking about the importance of fertilizer, what we need to know from an expert point of view to improve what we get in terms of farming in Nigeria. And we've spoken about different types of fertilizer, their applications, what their component is, the importance to our soil, and most importantly, making sure that whatever it is we bring back, the extension worker to make sure that farmers understand all of this, to not kill soil or even give us things that will be poisonous to us as people. So let's continue the conversation in a more broader perspective, starting with, is Nigeria bigger problem availability of fertilizer or correct use of fertilizer?
Correct use of fertilizer
is the biggest problem.
Let me refer back to the previous discussion on the adulteration of fertilizer, which is so rampant in the country. Now that there's this crisis of Iran and US, so importation of raw materials is becoming a bit more expensive. So the nitrogen-based fertilizers, that is the NPK, because of the hike in prices of the raw materials meant for blending, is becoming very expensive in the market. Let me just give you a typical example. For you to get a good quality nitrogen-based fertilizer NPK, it costs around 55,000 naira before the commencement of the season. Last year, golden fertilizer reaches up to 70 to 75,000 naira
per bag,
which is not equivalent to barter ratio. When we mean, what we mean by barter ratio is a farmer can bring 1 bag of maize, sell it in the rural market. That value of selling bag of maize can still buy him a bag of fertilizer. But the barter ratio now is highly negative on the farmer's side. A farmer has to bring 3 to 4 bags of maize before he can afford
a bag of
fertilizer. So that makes so many people who are not innocent, who doesn't have fear of God, to become, to partake into that adulteration. They will mix a low quality grade and bag it they have their ways of making different bags of the big brand names. A farmer or an airline will say that I prefer to have Olam or Wakot or Golden. So going by that, these people normally took advantage of adulterating a lower quality fertilizer.
And then bag it in this.
And then they bag it in the same bag. You come and be paid the same amount
for a lower quality.
If you priced a particular grade, they say 70,000, coming back to a second retailer or a wholesaler saying it is 60,000 naira. So getting that difference, you say I rather go for this, not knowing that it was adulterated. So this gives an avenue whereby almost 40 to 45% of fertilizers circulating in Nigeria are fake.
80%.
40 to 45%.
40 to 45%.
Yeah. Fertilizers that are circulating in Nigeria
are adulterated. That's really sad. So let's take soil into consideration. Why is it dangerous to treat fertilizer like a universal medicine?
Yeah. So as I made mention in the beginning of our discourse, the role of extension agents. For any farmer to partake into farming, first of all, what is expected of him is to have what we call soil analysis. This will give you a different background or a different picture of what actually the soil is in need of. Like we have soils in the same farmland, we will have 3 to 4 different characteristics of the soil. One portion of the farmland will be high rich in nitrogen. The other portion of the farmland will be highly acidic, while another portion of the farmland will be lime in nature. Let's take for instance a topography of a farmland whereby it is slopy in nature. For instance, last year you used 10 bags of fertilizer. So then there is runoff. As rain is falling, the contents it's getting down. So at the tail end of the farmland, since it is slopy, there will be higher concentration of that nutrients over there. So for instance, the coming year, you plant, let's say maize or any form of crop that doesn't require much
nutrients.
So number one, it will bond the crop. Number two, microorganisms that are living beneath the soil. Immediately after exposure by sunlight, it will have an effect
on them.
Acidic in nature, coupled with radiation from the sunlight, it will temper an effect. So when you have so many things in that same portion of the farmland, it may even lead to this flooding, leaching, then this
land degradation
and global warming, climate change, resulting effects of such kind of attributes.
Yeah. So you've mentioned soil testing in the previous conversation. So what is soil testing in practical terms, and why is it not mainstream for many Nigerian farmers? You've mentioned that many Nigerian farmers don't engage in soil testing. Why is it not mainstream for many Nigerian farmers?
Yes, you know, number one,
is it expensive?
It's expensive. It's expensive, and you cannot have even access to the laboratories well equipped with soil testing kits, unless when you visit some universities. I know with the coming of fertilizer companies now, they are rendering free soil testing to Nigerian farmers. But it's a gradual process. The government normally provides the reagents to state ministries of agriculture before. But now the system has completely collapsed. We do hope that the government will look into it, because for you to have an optimum yield, the first guide that will help a particular farmer before commencing or before going into production of any form of crop is to have that soil analysis. For instance, as I made mention earlier, maybe I have the intention of planting maize, not knowing that my soil will not support maize production. By having my soil being analyzed, it will give me an insight of which better crop, which better option should I go for. So soil analysis do help a lot. This is the first point of which a farmer is going to take when he needs to have a better yield or a better harvest at the long run.
If a farmer can't afford lab testing, like the soil test that you mentioned, what are the low-cost ways extension workers can still guide smarter fertilizer use?
Okay, so advisably, we have our traditional ways of doing things. You know, during the onset of the season, like now, once there is signal that the rainy season is approaching, all this refuse in our areas, we'll start collecting them to our farmlands.
What type of refuse? Because there are biodegradable ones.
Let's, especially those from trees, fallen leaves. Yeah, maybe you take your orange in the house. It is not expected of you to throw it away. Maybe you dig up a local pit. Whatever form of fruits you are taking, be putting it there. At a point of in time, then you
cover it.
Just 2 weeks. You come and convey the soil, pack everything, and take it to your farm. Second alternative, if you can afford, we have these places where they normally sell livestock. You make an arrangement on lifting cow dungs or poultry litters. Yeah. Then another alternative is sewage collection. You can liaise with sewage collectors. How much are you going to sell what you are collecting? Take it to my farmland if you can afford. So these are amongst the cheapest way to add value to your soil nutrients. If you cannot afford the fertilizer, and
soil testing,
it's even commercially viable, you are even bringing in a form of natural form of cultivating crops. Because nowadays we are even, to some extent, we are going against the nitrogen-based fertilizers. We are trying to advocate for organic form of
fertilizer,
organic form of fertilizer. So by this, a little amount of resources is needed from the farmer's end to invest so that he can get an optimum yield at the end. Yeah.
What happens when we keep applying fertilizer to soil that has lost structure, erosion, acidity, low organic matter? What's the long-term cost?
You know, we have what we call diminishing return. For instance, in first year, I got 100 bucks. If you keep on applying that at the long run, the productivity will start declining at decreasing rate. Second year, instead of you getting 100 bucks, maybe it might decline to 70. So it keeps on coming down. Then secondly, as I made mention earlier, we have some supporting structure of the soil. Beneath the soil, there are other living organisms. So it may cause harm
to them.
Instead of them providing you rich in other nutrients, you are killing them. So you will not have sufficient nutrients that is readily available to them. Then this issue of flooding that you are seeing, mostly human effect from our farmland as a result of misuse or long overdue for using that fertilizer is amongst the factor that causes flooding in our farmlands.
What is Nigeria yield gap? The difference between what farmers harvest and what they should harvest with the same land?
Yeah, as I made mention earlier, it depends on the practice or the system you adopted. We are citing an example with 1 hectare of land. For a layman, a typical farmer, if you made mention of 1 hectare, he just know that it's just a standard football pitch. By using traditional ways of harrowing a region, he is getting you maybe using plow and cows to make ridges. Maybe he's getting 40 to 60 ridges. Then by using tractor, you are getting 133 to 166 ridges. So the plant population will differ. For someone who adopted the best management practices and uses tractor, for instance, in making ridges, I told you that it is expected of him to get a minimum of 65 to 70 bags per hectare. But for someone who adopted the traditional way of doing things in the farmland, the maximum he can get as a yield is 15 to 25 bags. So you see how the gap, it's there. And one important aspect that the farmers forgot to understand is that after that soil analysis, the seeds that you are planting, you know we have differences between what we call a seed and what we call a grain. 90% of Nigerian farmers are sowing grain or are planting grain, not seeds.
Why is that?
Number one, we have it is the mandate of National Agricultural Seed Council to provide all quality seeds. Like we in Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, we have the mandate of some selected seeds: maize, sorghum, millet, groundnut, and some pockets of seeds. We have the National Rice Research Institute in Badegi. They have the mandate to produce rice seeds in the country. We have the Lake Chad Research Institute in Borno, Maiduguri. They have the mandate to produce millet seeds for the entire
nation.
So before you venture into farming, number one priority is to source for a quality seed. Not just to go to the roadside or from the previous storage of what you have cultivated last year.
And
you
use.
store it and use it. That one is a seed. So we have a standard collection centers or standard spots whereby licensed and authorized seedlings are being sold. It's just that for you to purchase seeds, it's quite expensive per se, but it is more yielding. It gives better result. It gives more level of confidence to the farmer. For instance, if I were to use a seed from a certified company, I have the assurance of 98% germination of what I'm planting. But if I were to get from my previous storage for what I produced last year, most likely the germination or the population expected will be lower than 40%. So it's because of the cost incurred in procuring seeds. That was why farmers are shunning away from buying
purchasing seeds.
So this is a key area where the government also need to come and intervene.
Yes. Is fertilizer alone enough to get optimum yield?
Fertilizer alone will not provide an optimum yield to a farmer.
So what
entirely is a package. Collection of seedlings, collection of fertilizers, collection of loan, as I made mention earlier.
Non-interest loan.
Farmers needed what we call a non-interest
loan
to finance their production. There are periods, there are some critical periods whereby a farmer may need some token to finance labor, to pay for fertilizer application, to pay for security and other engagement. So fertilizer alone could not provide an optimum yield, but it is a key element in production package.
Yes, so if fertilizer alone isn't enough, what are the top 4 productivity levers that must move together in farming?
Yeah. Number 1, fertilizer is the priority. Secondly, quality seed. Number 3, capital, that is soft loan to the farmers.
Number 4?
Then the fourth one is agrochemical. You know, we have rampant cases of pest and disease outbreak. You will see that maybe a blast might affect one rice farm. It extended to another farm. Within a shortest period of a time, we experience losses, coupled with the post-harvest losses that the country is incurring. I think last year Nigeria recorded almost 600 billion in just post-harvest losses. So when we fix these 4 key components, so definitely post-harvest losses might reduce drastically
to barest minimum. Thank you, Dr. Abubakar. And let's take another quick break. When we return, the conversation continues, and it takes us to the end of this, where we'll also take our rapid fire before the wrap. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's still Spotlight On with Dr. Abubakar Sani Abdullahi, an expert in the farming area. If I would say analyst, if I would say expert, I believe all fits in. We'll continue the conversation because we've spoken a lot about fertilizer, their use, and other very important elements in farming in Nigeria. And before we went on the break, we spoke about the 4 productivity levers that would improve farming in our climate. And now let's deep dive into what's more important, because you've spoken about fake fertilizer or adulterated fertilizer in large quantity in the country. So what mechanisms can stop adulteration in Nigeria?
Yeah, proper monitoring by the side of the government. Actually, I must commend the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. Now, before you partake in any or cite any blending plant that manufacture fertilizer, you have to go and obtain a license in Federal Ministry of Agriculture under the Farm Input Support Service Department. And before you partake in retailing or wholesaling of fertilizer, you must also obtain a license. But actually, they are short of manpower. There is no enough visitation to the markets to monitor what's actually going in. For instance, they can monitor the cities, but they cannot go deep into the hinterlands. So farming is there in the hinterlands, and all this adulteration is there in the hinterland. So the more focused, they should focus and keep on their track in terms of monitoring, mount surveillance on the activities that are moving in the hinterland. Then secondly, we must create awareness to our farmers by collaborating with TV stations like you, radio stations, making jingles on the effects of using
adulterated fertilizers.
Then actions, whoever is being caught in that act must
should be
face
punished.
the punishment
Or the wrath of law.
authorities. Exactly.
Yes.
So I think by doing so we can reduce it to the minimal level.
Okay, and subsidy programs are popular.
Yeah.
You've mentioned presidential initiatives as well, but leakages are also real and enormous. What's the best design for fertilizer support in Nigeria that reduces corruption and reaches real farmers?
Yeah. So when citing the policy, from the take-off of the policy or when designing the policy, the approach should not be top-down. It should be bottom up. You engage the farmers. What are their felt needs? Number one. Then secondly, for supervision, effective monitoring and supervision, you must engage agencies like the EFCC, ICPC, you engage the plainclothes men.
DSS.
Yeah, DSS, to keep track of what is going on. Then number three, we shouldn't politicize anything agriculture, because such things happens when there is any form of empowerment or support to farmers. A politician or his wife will divert to her own relatives or his own relative. So any form of government intervention must get to the grassroots. Let me tell you, we have this refund program, Uncle Borrowers. Had it been that we judiciously used this Uncle Borrowers program, by this time around, a bag of rice in Nigeria will not cost 20 to 25,000 naira because of the huge amount of support and capital that was invested by the previous government in the system.
Is there a way of redemption?
There is a way. That was why I told you, in the designing of the policy, you engage people like EFCC,
ICPC, DSS, etc.
So that you make sure that by the collection, it has to be real farmers, not just farmers on the papers. The empowerment or those system collapse because 80 to 85% of those that partake into that were not real farmers. They are farmers by papers. They collected people's name who doesn't even own a single plot of land. So whatever we are designing, we must get into contact with the real farmers. Then we must ensure that we carry along these three key paramilitary per se, or the security agencies to monitor right from the onset on the designing up to the implementation stage. And when you get into developed countries, we have designed so many projects to neighboring countries. For instance, a government is in need to finance an irrigation project to the farmers. First of all, you have to liaise with the farmers to seek for their own consent. Maybe from the side of the government is thinking that siting irrigation facilities in Nasarawa will be the best alternative. But when you carry the farmers along to hear their own views,
it might be somewhere else.
Yes, to give you what fits them.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. And what do farmers mostly need, in your opinion, right now? What do they need?
Subsidized fertilizers.
Okay, I think this is really important. And finally, before we go into rapid fire, if you could redesign Nigeria's extension model, because you've mentioned the importance of extension workers, if you could redesign it today, what would it look like? Digital and field-based cooperatives, lead farmers, or embedded agronomists?
Digital and field-based.
Okay,
yeah.
Digital.
Moving into the digital world, so digital and field-based will be the best option and alternative.
So what are the key metrics Nigeria should track each planting season to know if fertilizer policy is working?
Number one, the timing. Basically, when you get into any developed country, fertilizer is provided 2 months before the commencement of the season. So timing is very important. Timing is very important. Then the quality. The quality, we have to monitor the quality. So timing and quality. Then subsidy must be attached to it.
If Nigeria gets fertilizer policy right, but ignores insecurity, water and markets, do we still win?
No. At least we have to prioritize on security. I made mention that you have the capital, you have all the resources, you have the fertilizer. But if the place is not secured, you will not go to the farmland. If I were to invest 1 million naira and along the line I was caught by a bandit, how much am I going to pay as a ransom? So security should also be prioritized.
Top notch. Thank you so much. And let's loosen up a bit before we call it a wrap on the show. Now to rapid fire. Short, simple answers, yes or no, and we call it a wrap. Subsidy, keep or redesign?
Redesigned.
Soil tests, luxury or necessity?
Necessity.
Biggest fertilizer myth Nigerians believe?
Yeah. We need to provide quality-based fertilizers from NPK.
Yes, so it's myths. The biggest fertilizer myth that Nigerians believe, maybe for instance, some believe fertilizer damages the soil completely. So what's the biggest myth?
Improve soil fertility.
Okay. But what's the biggest myth? That it doesn't destroy the soil?
It doesn't destroy the soil.
Okay. Fake fertilizer, enforcement or traceability, what works faster?
Enforcement.
One crop Nigeria must prioritize for food stability?
Maize.
Again. One policy Nigeria must stop repeating every season?
Yeah, that is what do they call it? They normally delay in disbursement of inputs.
Okay.
Disbursement of inputs.
Okay, data or politics, what decide fertilizer outcomes more?
Data.
One sentence to every farmer this season?
Yeah, we should prepare. We should not feel discouraged despite the fact that food importation has reduced farm gate prices, but we must produce to feed ourselves. Yeah.
Finish this line. Fertilizer works best when
it is affordable, at the right rate, and at the right dose.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abubakar Sani Abdullahi. We really appreciate your time and this expertise in making sure that we outline what's best for our farmers. We look forward to calling you again. Thank you again for joining us on Spotlight On. Today, one truth stands. Fertilizer is not magic, it is science plus systems. And without the system, soil knowledge, extension, integrity, security, market, fertilizer becomes expensive. But when we get it right, fertilizer doesn't grow crops. It grows stability, it grows job, it grows national resilience. This has been Spotlight On right here on S24 television. I am Halima Abdurrauf and see you again in the next edition. Bye for now.
Do you remember Stella Obasanjo? She was Nigeria's first lady and the wife of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. In 2005, she died in Spain after complications from cosmetic surgery at a private clinic in Marbella. A Spanish court later convicted a surgeon in connection with the case, citing medical negligence, a reminder that surgical outcomes depend heavily on professional standards, proper monitoring, and ethical medical practice. But this conversation is bigger than one person. Every year, millions of people around the world undergo cosmetic procedures such as liposuction, tummy tucks, Brazilian butt lift, and breast augmentations. Some individuals pursue these surgeries for legitimate health or reconstructive reasons, after significant weight loss, childbirth, injury, or to correct medical conditions. However, a large portion of cosmetic surgery today is driven by aesthetic and fashion, the desire to match trendy body types popularized by celebrities, influencers, and social media culture. In today's entertainment industry, cosmetic enhancement can feel less like a personal choice and more like an unspoken requirement. Many celebrities appear to go to extreme lengths to achieve exaggerated curves, ultra slim waist, sculpted jawlines, or ageless skin. In some cycles, it can seem as though you cannot compete, trend, or remain visible without upgrading your appearance. For some public figures, transformation becomes part of branding, a marketing strategy that fuels attention, engagement, and relevance. Dramatic before and after reviews often generate headlines, sponsorship, and social media buzz. The danger is that these highly curated images set unrealistic standards for everyday people. What is often presented as natural beauty may involve multiple procedures, strict maintenance, editing, lighting, and filters. The full story, the risk, the recovery pain, the complications, the revision is rarely shared as loudly as the glamorized results. The pressure behind this decision is powerful. Beauty standards shift quickly, but the emotional drive to keep up remains constant. Social media amplifies surgical enhanced bodies without transparency about maintenance, medical supervision, or digital alteration. Beauty is diverse. Trends fade. Surgical complications can last a lifetime. Health should never be sacrificed for visibility, validation, or virality.
A whopping billionaire for Lagos Lifeline. Fix, rebuild, or rethink.
Welcome to Political Arena here on S24 television. Nigeria is gradually approaching the 2027 general elections. Political realignment are taking shape across the country. One of the biggest developments in recent times is the emergence of a political alliance involving Peter Obi and Senator Rabiu Musa Konkoso under the platform of National Democratic Congress, NDC, coming on a joint ticket. Supporters describe the alliance as a formidable form that will challenge the ruling party in the forthcoming general elections in Nigeria, while APC believe that the coalition still faces some serious challenges and political opponents are yet there to face their own electoral hurdles. Can this partnership truly replace the Nigerian political system in 2027? What does this alliance mean from the opposition? Is Peter Obi and Rabiu Musa Konkoso willing to work in 2027? Joining us this afternoon is Mansur Umar Kurugu, spokesperson of Konkosia Movement. Mr. Mansur, welcome to Political Arena here on S24 television.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abubakar. It's a pleasure to be here.
I can see from your appearance, you are actually a diehard of Konkosia.
Well, yeah, you're right about that, actually. I was almost being made in so many ways by Konkosia Movement, starting from my university degree where I studied in the university established by Senator Rabiu Musa Konkoso in Kano State. It was called Kano University of Science and Technology those days. Now Aliko Dangote University of Science and Technology. And then, of course, after performing very well, because you have to do your part, I got a scholarship as well under the administration of Senator Rabiu Musa Konkoso to have become a pilot and to have experienced a life from a different perspective. So that's where the captain came into being. So yeah, I'm not only a diehard member of Konkosia Movement, but literally I am like a son and breed of that particular movement. And of course, I'm seeing myself among the drivers of the movement now and in the future.
So based on the little interaction we had here, you mean you are, when it comes to politics, you have ideologically driven?
Absolutely, yeah. I strongly believe that politics should be for the people, and it should be able to address the critical needs, fundamental needs of mankind, not just for some few individuals.
Politician.
Yeah, not self-centered, but people-centered politics. So well, yeah, that is why, despite being everything, I find Konkosia Movement as a platform that really align with my own belief, interests, and ideas. Yeah.
Captain Mansur, thank you so much for honoring our invitation.
It's a pleasure.
Despite your tight schedule.
Yeah, it's okay.
Let's begin with our topic. One of the biggest political story, like how significant is the alliance of Senator Rabiu Musa and Peter Obi?
I would say it's very significant, especially in our today's politics, where we have seen a lot of sentiment taking place, a lot of
politicking.
Yeah, politicking going on, a lot, and actually some lack of sensitivities to our diversity, if I can put it that way, by some of the opposite parties that are, we can call them ruling party in the country. I mean, and this kind of alliance between Senator Rabiu Musa Konkoso and Peter Obi, or you can call it from the southern part of the country and northern part of the country, or you can call it in a different kind of diversity
angle.
It is actually a kind of inclusive approach in ensuring that every part of this country and every individual within this country is being represented and their interests are being respected. We are very sensitive. We are very intentional about ensuring we have a formidable platform where we are not only focused about ourselves or marginalizing any part of the country or group of individuals. So yeah, I can see this as a formidable platform
alliance.
And an alliance that could provide a credible option and an alternative for Nigerians. Yeah.
Did your party copy from the ruling party? Because we knew how the ruling party came in 2015. It was a coalition, a merger that happened between the southern part of the country and the northern part of the country that brought led President Buhari into power.
So we are not going to say we copied from we copied from APC, but because we were part of those that established the APC.
That was then.
Yeah, then we were part of the coalition. If you remember, our leader, Senator Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, was from PDP. And they were those that represented that red part of the APC. If you look at the logo of the APC and all of that, you'll see that red there. That represents PDP. So we were not the only, we are not only doing the merger or doing a coalition for the first time in 2023. 2026, 2027 election. But it was something that we have tried in those days. But however, the issues and the needs are different. Those days, we were trying to chase away PDP because of their failure for one single area, one single sector. Then, there are other areas, but the key sector that they felt on was insecurity. And then we just felt like, why not? We are part of this government, but they are not doing well. So let us try and explore a different alternative and give Nigerians a different option. Unfortunately, now what we are seeing is beyond insecurity. You can talk of everything. I have never in my entire life, in my entire analysis and assessment of how governance works, I have never seen an administration that felt squarely in every angle like this particular administration of APC. I cannot put my hand on any single sector where I would say this sector got better in terms of the delivery for a good governance and better life to Nigerians. So if there is any time for credible politicians to come together and provide a credible platform or alternative for Nigerians, this is the right time. And not only them, us as Nigerians, we are the major, recipient of the impact of this failed government. So it is not only the work of the credible or the, big wings, like we call them. It's not only their work, but it is the work of all Nigerians. Except if somebody is just sitting in his house and feeling comfortable about everything that is going on. But so far, you are Nigerian like all of us, and you are
feeling the impact.
You must feel the impact, even if you're rich, because the same resources that you could have used to utilize and have your kind of way of life.
Now you have to double it or even more.
Much more than that. So it's not even a matter of we're just doing a coalition.
Matter of reality.
It's a matter of survival. I call it this way. It's a matter of survival. If you really want to have a Nigeria that works for everyone, if you really want to have a purposeful leadership that seeks to benefit ordinary man, because in this particular administration, the only people benefiting are the big politicians, especially governors and those around them. That is why you can see, while every day ordinary Nigerians are moving away from APC, our governors now, they are moving into APC. Why? Because the government is only working for them, not for the masses.
Captain Mansur, don't you think that maybe the way they are trooping into the ruling party, they felt like the government of APC is doing well?
Obviously, we know they are not doing well because, look, doing well in government is going to be assessed by certain indicators. Like the quality of life, the quality of education, the opportunity for young persons, the ease of doing businesses. All of those things are what you now bring together to know whether the government is performing well or not. Think of the inflation. We are talking of how many percentage we are now. We stopped even counting, right? We have never seen a moment where the exchange rate have reached its level like it is now, like within this particular administration. I never imagined in my life an oil-producing country like Nigeria, at any point of time, you would be able to buy a fuel at over 1,000 naira. That is exactly what we are seeing. When this particular government, from the last 3 years to date, came into being, we were buying it at 100 plus, less than 200 naira.
And it was that very day that they made that declaration.
Not very year, that very day. The very moment the man became the president, His Excellency Alhaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he declared immediately that he withdrew the fuel subsidy without a framework on how to mitigate the impact of doing that on ordinary man. And since that day, Nigeria was awakened. And I want to make sure that I hope that Nigerians now will be awake and reclaim our country by ourselves.
this goes down to my next question. Some people say that this partnership is built more on defeating APC than shaping ideologies. Is that true?
So what is the difference between the two? Because if you are saying shaping ideology of who?
Nigerians.
Look, what Nigerians need at this moment is a better governance. Whether you have ideology that they align with or they do not align with your ideology, what people need at the moment is a better government that speaks to the people, government that speaks to the need of the people. But again, if you're talking about ideology, I have never seen any political movement that has as much ideological pillars like OK movement. Because obedient, they have a movement. That is an ideological movement. Obedient. Then Concosia movement is also an ideological movement. And that is why we even stand a stronger chance.
Of winning in 2027.
Exactly. Because look, if I may ask you, do you think in this entire country, there would be anybody in their normal sense that on their own, without incentivization, can go out and vote for APC again?
Well, these are the questions we need to ask Nigerians.
Well, you are a Nigerian as well. And I mean, I don't know. I don't understand how can someone in their normal sense would want to bring back APC into our country. But these two movements now, the people that are going to vote in this movement, they are spending their own money for the victory of this particular movement. So that is what makes it different. It is ideologically driven. It is purposeful leadership driven. So if people are seeing it as where change is going to come, the kind of change where they will be able to contribute into ensuring it happens. Not only being a passive members of the country, no, being among the drivers of this change, even after winning the election.
Captain Mansour, we have to go for a quick break. When we return, I'm going to ask you about your principal.
Okay, please.
Let's go for a short break. When we return, the conversation will continue. From that break, remember this is Political Arena here on S24. My guest is Captain Mansour Umar Kurugu, the spokesperson of Concosia movement. Captain Mansour, some people are accusing your principal of decamping from this political party to another political party.
Yeah.
And you call your movement is one of the movements that have ideology. I believe if politicians are playing politics with ideology, we know the likes of Malang Aminu Kano who have stood firmly in one ideology. Why is your principal officer doing that?
Well, accusation in politics is normal.
It's acceptable.
No,
as long as it's valid.
You cannot be in politics without having people to critique you. Some of them will be doing it objectively. Some will be doing it to disinform or misinform people. But what is happening with moving from one political party to another is not unique to Senator Rabi Musa Kwankwaso. It is the situation that we find ourselves in the country.
That warrants.
Let me just give you an example. In this particular republic, we started in PDP, right?
That was
1999. Senator Kwankwaso has been a member of PDP up to when? 2014 or thereabout. Nothing changed. At that point, PDP was able to field candidates at all levels. And he has always been a loyal member of that party. Why? Because the party wasn't having any challenge. And the governors did not deteriorate to the level that you feel you need to dissociate yourself. So the ideology of Concosia is not hinged on a political party. It is hinged in purposeful and people-centered leadership. That is the ideology. So whichever political party is able to offer that, you can see us there. Or if the party that we are within and working together with is 100% contrary to this particular objective, obviously we will have to move, because party is a party. You might not own it. If you do not own it, you cannot dictate how that party will operate. And if you are not the president, you cannot decide how the governors would go.
Works.
So if there is no satisfaction, if there is no alignment with your own ideology and the ideology of your movement and what the government is doing, you will have to leave. That is one of the reasons. Another reason is even viability of the party. Anybody who is now a member of PDP, what are they going to do in the PDP? Do they even have a presidential candidate?
We even saw Goldwyn Akpabio saying that he didn't believe PDP exists.
Well, that's up to Mr. Senate President, but I am not sure if they even have a presidential candidate because there are two factions: one faction for one lawyer, the other faction for another, lawyer. All of them are now battling as lawyers and all of that. So, if assuming you are in that party and you still have an interest in bringing a national solution, are you going to stick to that party, or you will have to look for another alternative?
So that is what exactly your principal did.
I'm just giving you some of the scenarios.
Yeah.
The first one is lack of alignment between your own ideology and how the party is delivering their own governance when they have it. The second one is when the platform is no longer viable. And then another one is when you are in a party and in your normal sense, you have seen, take as an example. You are sitting in this studio, right? And you look up here and you see this group is collapsing. What are you going to do?
I have to step out.
But if you love this office and all of that, do you think you can stay back? You just have to move out. And that is exactly what happened with us in ADC. We love to be there with everybody. We love the coalition. We were willing to come and do our part. My leader, Senator Rabi Musa Konkoso, was willing to sacrifice everything and make sure that coalition works. But immediately we started coming up with a movement, where the entire country was rallying around that thing. And that was the moment when Senator Rabi Musa Konkoso had joined the party. We have seen a new issues coming, a court case from Nafi Ubala and all of that. And we can practically see that party crumbling.
Collapsing.
And as foresighted person, as Senator Rabi Musa Konkoso, with all the people that followed him, you wouldn't expect him to sit there and allow all of us to get all our ambitions and dreams jeopardized, right?
Let me ask you something.
Let me just give you one simple
scenario.
Not scenario, but what makes Senator Rabi Musa Konkoso to definitely think around ensuring there is a solution. He's not a politician that is only representing himself. He's a politician representing a movement. There are people contesting for governors, there are people contesting for National Assembly positions, State Assembly positions, and all of that. Unlike most of other politicians, go and check the ADC candidates there, the presidential and all of them. Do they have any people, do they have other people around them that if today they no contest, all of those people, now they don't have any platform?
Just relax.
It's all about
Due to
them.
time, let me
But
ask
Senator
you, Captain
Konkoso is all about the entire movement, the people around him and everything. So sometimes he had to take those decisions.
Let's
to make
go
sure...
down to Kano politics, please.
Well, okay, go ahead.
What happened?
Well, about what?
What happened? We saw the saga between your own principal and the incumbent governor of Kano State. It seems like they are no longer in the same page.
It's not like it seems. It's not like it seems. It's we call it betrayal of the century or something.
Betrayal of the century?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is what you are accusing him of.
Look, Senator Rabi Musa Konkoso worked very well to build a reputation, even in politics. That is where a lot of distrust and everything is there, right?
Started.
But Senator Rabi Musa Konkoso was able to maintain that status where Kano people still trust and believed in him, to the extent that he can present a candidate or he can sponsor a candidate and people will come and rally around. He worked together with the entire movement for 8 years to dethrone Ganduzi or to send away APC parking in the state. And Kano people understand that mission. They did that. They, sent away APC. They said, we don't want you in our state. They said, APC, you failed. And they demonstrated it in the ballot, not only saying it. And then after everything, we have gotten a government of Konkosia in Kano State.
That lasted for...
All of a sudden, the governor have decided to identify APC, the same APC that Kano people said we don't want, as the best platform where he needs to join. And he leave Senator Rabi Musa Konkoso, someone who sponsored him, someone who had been mentoring him for over 40 years. And he said he's moving there. What do you call that?
Well, maybe that is
boils
down to
personal
personal and political interest.
If you have a personal...
In your word, you said betrayal.
Okay, then in your word, what would that be?
Well, that should be maybe like it's just a political calculation.
Political calculation?
He believed that. Now, you now spoke about the ADC, why your principal left the ADC. He believed that ADC is no longer sellable. And maybe Governor Abba thought that NMPP is no longer sellable.
Okay, so
and you know politicians are so ambitious. in
okay, so I
nature.
will just put it this way: Senator Rabi Musa Konko is a leader of a movement. He has a responsibility of ensuring that anybody who is a governor under his movement succeeded. So if you are one of them and you identify a certain challenge, what are you supposed to do? You don't run, right? You stick with your, people and talk to them. You are a governor. Come and talk to Senator Rabi Musa Konkoso about all of these
So
issues.
you mean the decision by
And
Governor
take-
Abba was a wrong decision?
It's not only a wrong decision, it was a betrayal, my friend. We
So-
just call it what it is.
So what are you doing so far?
And let me tell you something. It's not only a betrayal towards Senator Rabi Musa Konkoso, it's a betrayal towards Kano State people, betrayal towards the Konkosia people, and it's even someone who is saying, hey, God, you know that it was okay for me to stay with these people. But now that I'm a governor, I don't need that guide. I'm going to do it my own way. And this is one thing.
That happened in Kano.
This is one thing that always happens. When you don't stick to what God plans for you, and you decided to do it